It's going to be this upcoming Friday. I mean, next Friday, a week from today. Yes, Valerie. Okay, the earliest I will have it is next Monday. Because I will be grading over the weekend. All right, so period 3. Due date. I'm going to record it for your classmates. Pass? Pass? All right. Here's what we have going on. I'm going to show you some pointers on how to do this homework. Now, these first few problems. So a week from today. But I think given a combination of the recording of the lesson, along with the pointers I give you, you should be A-okay. And basically, we will also review these concepts on Monday. But a lot of this, once we get the setup going, you should be A-okay. And we've seen a lot of this before. So basically, on the first page, what do? You're going to rewrite these proportions in fraction form. Whenever we see the colon form, the first number is always the top, or numerator, second denominator. If you want to write ND, ND, go ahead. That's going to help you. So, if I were you, I would write it in this form. And that would be the same case for all 4 of these problems. Especially this one, the middle one. The larger number will be on the top. That can happen. Then for these types of problems, and we'll talk about this more on Monday too. Basically, your diagonal multiplication, and your cross multiply. So I don't know if we started this last time in our notes from yesterday. Where did we stop in our notes? Okay, we did actually start problems like this yesterday. So again, you do your diagonal multiplication. So for a problem like this, you could either go bottom or top. Usually I go from top to bottom. So then you would multiply 3 times 56. And then 24 times x. Now 3 times 56. I'm going to rewrite it up here. What is 3 times 56?
It's 168.
So you have 168 equals 24x. And then to solve for x, what's our last step? We have to do, what are we going to divide by in both cases? We're going to get x by 2, divide by 24. And what will we get for x? There you go. That's 7. That's going to be your setup. Actually, for both the first page. Now, disregard what's on the bottom. Cross out those numbers, like those options. Where it says mark only one. Cross those out. Don't worry about them. I'm just worried about you with that setup. Once you get that first one, the other three, I should say, on this page are the exact same way. See where it says under, with mark on one over? Cross all that difference out. Don't worry about it. You solve for the X, you'll get credit. Now, the next page. Next page is basically the same concept. Same concept, that's all you're doing. You're not doing anything different. You're just doing your diagonals. 20 times 5, 50 times h. Do the same thing. So the front and back of the first page is basically the same exact idea. So if you got the front page, you got the back page. So the first 8 problems on this homework, it's all the same way. Now, to take care of the last set of problems, I'm going to show you the quickest possible way. I'm going to call it the cheapest way. And it's the following. Here's what you're going to do. You are going to set up your two ratios. And what I tell everybody to do, especially if the two numbers are in the same spot, well, see, now there's one or two ways you can do this. If you divide both numbers, 16 divided by 10, 24 divided by 15, check if you get the same decimal value. You could also do your diagonal multiplication. Check, does 24 times 10, is that the same as 16 times 15? Are those two values the same when you do your multiplication? Or is 16 divided by 10, you get the same decimal value as 24 divided by 15? That's the quickest way you can determine whether or not they're similar.
So no.
Folks, let's check. What's 16 times 15? You do a diagonal. 240. 240. And then what's 24 times 10? Yep. And the other way you could check, well, if you divide 16 by 10, what's 16 divided by 10? What's 16 divided by 10? Just check on the calculator. And there's one to you, 1.6. What's 24 divided by 15? That's what I call the cheap way to check. That's another way you could check.
So we can just call it Mario?
No. Yeah. Yeah, you can. All right. Same thing. Now, if you're not sure, remember, order does matter. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the year. Because here, what we did was, we looked at which sides correspond to each other. Now, what you could do, there's more than one way you can set up this ratio. Now, some ways, you could have went 14 to 12 because they went this side, like they went in that order. You have to follow that same order for the other problem. This way, this way. You have a pass? All right, thank you for your honesty. And then what you need to do is talk to Valerie about the first part of this homework we talked about. So basically, 6 is similar to 5. Look at your corresponding parts. Now, if you want, since these two triangles are positioned in the same spot, you can always do this too. I mean, they did it this way. You could have done it this way too. You could have went 10 over 14, 5 over 7. That's another way you could do it. You could also check that way. But you have to make sure that corresponding sides match. Because if you, as I'm going to show you with the other problem, if the corresponding sides don't match, then you could have an incorrect answer. So beware. But that's another way. And then the goal is basically, the third way you can think about it, if I'm going from bigger to smaller, what number did I divide 10 by to get to 5? 10 divided by what gives us 5? What number? So 10 divided by what number? 2. You can do the same thing with the others. If I divide 14 by 2, do I get 7? Yep, it is. Yeah, because 12 by 2, you're going to get 6. So
How do you say it?
polygons. So, yeah, it would have been the last two, they would have had more than 3 sides. Polygon, I mean, you could have said triangle, or triangle is a type of polygon. But yeah, that's another way you can do it. So there's multiple ways you can figure out whether or not 2 polygons are similar. And then I just want to talk about the last little bit, and then I'll let you do what you need to do, because I know some of you want to get a couple things done. All right, questions on number 4 or number 6, however you want to call it. And it's the same idea. Corresponding parts, if they have the same ratio, the final answer is going to work. And then the last one is basically, last page is the same idea. Now this one we got away with it because here, the 2 shapes, they have the same position, like the orientation, the position is the same. That's why we could get away with setting up a problem like this. Your first proportion, x over 15 meters. Boom, there you go. And then your second one, 6 over 9. 6 meters, 9 meters. Boom, there you go. And then you're just back to a problem from the beginning. You do your crisscross multiplication. You crisscross, there you go. And then I'll let you figure out the rest from there. No, it's basically the same thing. It's just making sure your setup is correct. And then the last problem is the same. Very last problem, same. And remember, you gotta stay with us. Now, the only difference with the last problem, but it's not really by much. Now, this is the easy stuff. It will get a little more tricky. Here it's not that bad, because if you look at the last problem, I'm gonna erase this real quick and then I'll rewrite it, don't worry, you're not gonna lose it. So for the first one, yeah, we did the 10/15. That's not the tricky part. But here, the other side, you have to make sure you get the correct side to match. Now, obviously, the 6, that's going to match with which side, the 10 or the 15? Let's look at the 15. You know how the 15 is that slanted side? Is the 6, is that a slanted side as well? 6, look at the 6. Are they both slanted? 15, 6. Look at how they're both slanted. We see that they're both slanted? So that's why these two sides will correspond. But now this Z. Well, also you can figure out the Z. Does that correspond to the 15 or the 10? Look where it's located. Where's that Z located? Is that slant or top? Top. Remember, the number one thing you gotta worry about is corresponding sides. And there was that problem a couple problems ago. That's why the corresponding sides, the corresponding angles, the order matters. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. This point, those are the pointers you have. We'll talk about these types of problems more on Monday. We're going to do a few problems on Monday to solidify this topic. So that's where we are at this point.